Thanks, Lou. Welcome, everyone. This is a very special day as we honor Dr. Mary, and we get to hear one of her more challenging talks. I feel a little satisfied about that because I hand out the titles. So we're in for a real special treat, but let's hear our opening music. Dalton's here with us in person, live. Go ahead, Dalton. Yay.
As time has unfolded me, it has revealed to me life's nothing less than sublime. With every thought I make, every last breath I take, may I be gracious and kind. Love, I invite you to open up this heart of mine. Love, cover me, light any darkness. Love, cover me, right every wrong. Cause me to see love over hatred. Guide me to be grateful and strong. Love, cover me. Love, cover me. Kindness wash over me, make me a symphony, play every note you can find. Make me reverberate, gently deactivate, slowly flow out of my mind. Find me a melody, dance and let my anthem be. Love, cover me, light any darkness. Love, cover me, right every wrong. Cause me to see love over hatred. Guide me to be faithful and strong. Love, cover me. 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 I will not be shaken. I will not be moved. Love, cover me. May my heart awaken, tenderness be proved. Love, cover me. Love, cover me. Love, 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 love. Love, 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 love. Love, I invite you to open up this heart of mine. Love, cover me, light any darkness. Love, cover me, right every wrong. Cause me to see love over hatred. Guide me to be faithful and strong. Love, cover me. Love, cover me. Love, cover me. Love, cover me. Love, 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 love. Love, 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 love. Love, 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 love. Love, 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 love.
love with that man. Sorry, Charlie, but he just makes the world right. I feel so much better. I had an awful morning. I think it's already, I know Mary's not going to be here as much, and I feel like I'm losing my right arm, so I lost my sanity this morning. I could do this. You betcha. I have a whole group of people. Took one of you, but look what I got. So I am excited about this day, this very special day, to honor Mary, but also to welcome all of you here. And let's take a moment to say hello to the crowds at home in their jammies. Let's wave and say hello. We got up. We made it. You can still come for cake. You can still come for cake. Head on down. Yeah. That's the best part. We welcome the time together. So is there anyone visiting us for the first time today? I don't think so. I think we're all, there's a little packet back there that Melody can get for you. I want to introduce somebody very special. Melody, can you stand up and put your face down? Put your mask down. That is Melody in the office, everyone. For those of you that might hear her answer the phone, that is the beautiful lady behind the mask, behind the door, in the office, in the back. But thank you for being here, and she's with her friend Brian, so her fiance. To say that. So, lots of good news today. So, sorry, Melody, I won't look at you anymore. May 27th, there's a awareness folding gathering. Oh boy, that is so much fun. They start at the awful hour of 8 a.m. I show up about 8:20. But we just fold the awareness and chit-chat for a little bit, so anybody that has time to do that, we welcome the help. A lot of hands makes it go very fast. Soar Adventure for the McLeod Mushroom Festival will be held on Memorial Day weekend, and more information will be in your update, and watch from SOAR the information from Cher. She will be highlighting that and inviting you on exactly the process to show up for that. And Dalton, is Dalton's mic on? Did you want to talk about the Heart Song Choir?
I can come over there.
You can. Well, why don't you come over here? Good idea. I thought you might be afraid of me.
I have legs and everything. It's amazing. So we are excited to announce that the Heart Sangha Choir is going to be meeting for rehearsals again live in a special summer session. So if you're available and interested and feel like you want to participate in the choir, it's meeting Thursday evenings. It's starting the first week in June, and it's running for June, July, and August. And probably after that, but that's the fall, and I like to be pretentious and run everything in seasons. So it's the summer season is what we're squaring up for. So yeah, well, there will be a little fun video announcement about that next week as well. But for now, hooray! The choir's coming. And I will say that you will still probably not see us on Sunday mornings yet. You will see videos that are recorded in this space with everybody actually singing together, as opposed to the recorded on a phone, send it in thing that we've been seeing up until now. But that's the announcement.
That's exciting. That's just showing that COVID that we're fighting it and we're coming back strong. So, yes, absolutely. So the other fun thing on June 5th, 9 a.m. to 1, Jennifer Sybrant Harris and Jane Parsons are doing a really fun, all you need to do is bring your flat riverbed rock, and then we get to wash it up, bring it painted beautiful. We have some mosaic tiles to put on it. You can bring something if you have a jewel that you would like to put on. If you have some pottery you want to crack up and make the little pieces onto the stone. It's really a wonderful opportunity to create a craft together and have such beauty and such a beautiful totem to take back home with you. And I'm really looking forward to June 6th as well. Reverend Michael McMorrow is visiting us from the Granada Hills Church and Center for Spiritual Living down in Southern California. He's written a book, Blue Collar Spirituality. He'll be doing a workshop following services on that day. He's the most easy man, easy minister that I have met in a long time besides Reverend Andy, who's here today, hello Andy, who is just an easy man to talk to be with, and he speaks spirituality in such a gentle way and in a way that leaves an impression on you. So we hope that you can share that day with us on June 6th. And Dr. Mary has her writing a spiritual practice, and even though she's going to be on vacation, she's going to be doing this class starting June 17th, writing down your soul. And it's a wonderful four-step approach, and she'll look forward to sharing that with you. And the sign-ups are back there with Jill. And then finally, something that the Bliss team has helped put together is a summer solstice barbecue and drum jam. And this is going to happen on Father's Day evening. So we know that might leave some of you out, but you can also just change your plans and bring your father for a barbecue, and you don't have to do anything because we'll do it for you. And there's sign-ups for that, but the exciting part is Stephen Smith, awesome drummer, and there's Michael Harris, another fabulous drummer. I don't know if those of you that were in Reading went a long time ago and knew about the Boys, that group, the Boys. He is a phenomenal physician, and he'll be joining in that, and Margie Ivanovich will be also another drummer. And we're gathering up as many drummers in Reading, and we're just all going to bring our drums and shakers and shake our booty if we want to, whatever we want to celebrate the solstice. So June 20th, mark your calendar. It will be one of our first outdoor adventures with community. So I think that wraps up those ideas. I want to thank everyone for being here in service today. And right now, I want to remind you to turn your cell phones off so we have your full attention. And a reading by, you ready to come up, Craig? Craig Boyer is going to do a reading. Then we'll do a prayer, affirmative prayer, and you're on then. You ready?
The reading this morning is from the book, This Thing Called You, by Dr. Earnest Holmes, where on page 41 he writes, "It's important that you maintain strict censorship over your thinking. Just as you watch your garden, that foreign seed shall not fall into it, producing a growth of undesirable plants, so you must refuse entrance to any thoughts you do not wish to see manifested in your life. Guard well this garden of your mind. It is God's garden of your soul. It is your garden of Eden, wherein may grow your fondest desires and hopes, blossoming into fulfillment. Or, if you permit, the weeds of destruction. Fear and doubt will choke out the beauty of hope until despair alone remains. So watch carefully this garden of your soul. Plant there only seeds of happiness, joy, peace, and goodwill. It may be necessary to cultivate your garden, to uproot the weeds and straighten out the rows, planting new seeds, new ideas, broader visions, and deeper realizations of life. New aspirations must be bedded here, fertilized with fervor of hope, the conviction of faith, the beauty of wholeness, and the quietness of peace. Watch your garden carefully. Guard it patiently as you wait for a new harvest, for you shall reap what you have sown." And I want to say to all that we thank Reverend Mary for all of the good she has sown in our community.
The sound of the bell. It is the invitation inward. It is the time to pause the ordinary thinking and dive deep into communion with the divine. It is here that we lay down our sorrow. We lay down any concern, any confusion. And we have this moment of deep reverence for a greater good unfolding, for a greater love involving us on every step, in every way. And I recognize that as we live in community and we live in a nation, that we are part of everything that is. And we stand right now in the memory of all of the people that have lost their lives, either to discord or to COVID. We recognize that we stand as one, and as we remember your name throughout this day, throughout every day, as we hold your memory in our hearts, we become stronger, we become wiser. So I give thanks today for the love that prevails always, and recognizing that we stand on a faith that good is unfolding, and we stand behind that, and we stand strong. And for that, in deep gratitude, I release this word, knowing that all we have to do is be guided and stay in love, and so it is. Thank you, Dalton.
And Dalton, when I nod to you, if you would come up and do some twinkles. Thank you. Judy always loves that. I'm sure she's healing beautifully from her knee replacement. All right. First, I want to say that my focused effort these past 5 years has been on community outreach. Shoes for Souls, all the bins in the hallway for People of Progress, Goodwill. POP and Goodwill are still shut down, and when they open, I hope you pay attention, because I'll be coming to get whatever you bring and take it to whoever needs it. I did pack up 4 bags of shoes, labeled them, got the size on, and called the crisis center, Shasta County Crisis Center. I said, "Are you interested?" And they said, "We'll take every pair." So if you have some tennis shoes, because it's getting warmer now, a lot of winter shoes, but if you have some tennis shoes, we'd sure appreciate it, because they'll take them. They deal with people that walk a lot. Enough with my commercial. This was a really hard one for me, and it's called Say Their Names. There's a committee in Home Office that creates the topics for Sunday, and they chose Say Their Names for an important reason. The May issue of Science of Mind magazine is about social justice and healing generational trauma. And some of you may not have heard of this movement, Say Their Names. If you don't watch much news, you might not have heard of it. How many did not know of this movement? Oh, not too many. Okay, great. The purpose of it is to raise our awareness of Black victims of racial inequality around the world, and to support overall the movement Black Lives Matter, and highlighting Black violence, the violence impacted on African American people in our country. When I Googled the title, which I always do, and I was surprised what came up, there's all kinds of projects going on all over the country for this movement. And the first one I found was at Gonzaga University in Spokane, and they hung this large sign. I mean, it's probably as big as the wall back there, on one of their buildings, and it says, "When we say their name, may we connect to their humanity." And I like that. And then I found a gentleman by the name of Melville Miller Jr. He founded Legal Services of New Jersey, a nonprofit that represents poor people. He died in March, and he was known for his passion in fighting for justice, fighting against injustice. And here's what he was quoted as saying: Among many oppressed cultures in America, it is a sign of respect and honor to call people by their full given name. We do so to bear witness, respect, to remember them, to remind ourselves about them, to educate ourselves, and ultimately, we press hard to terminate violence and murder. It reminded me that in every celebration of life that I've given here or attended here or anywhere, the eulogy always begins with a person's name and when they were born. It's honor and respect. It was nice to just connect that. You know, many cultures honor their ancestors with their names. One example is the AIDS quilt, and I copied off some beautiful pictures from the internet and I taped them to the sanctuary door, so hopefully take a minute and see, because the AIDS quilt just blew my mind how big that got. Cleve Jones, he was a San Francisco gay rights activist, and in 1985 he started collecting quilt squares, little squares that people make quilts out of, that had the names of people on it who died from AIDS. Eventually, he started sewing them together, and a 3-foot by 6-foot panel was about the right size. And he said, it's about the size of a grave, 3 feet by 6 foot. Anyway, in 2 years, he had enough squares to put together almost 2,000 panels. A year later, he had enough to do 8,300 3 by 6 panels. And by 1996, when it was displayed, he had 48,000 panels. It contained over 125,000 names, and it weighed 54 tons. Now, it takes a lot to move that. I mean, you can't put 54 tons on any truck in California. It was rolled out on the National Mall in Washington, D.C., and it completely covered the mall. Picture on the sanctuary door. It's amazing. You know, and as of last year, the AIDS quilt was considered the largest piece of community folk art in the world because there were squares on there from every state in the U.S. and 28 countries. I'm in awe of how big that was. The AIDS quilt is made to ensure that the lives of those who died are not forgotten, that their story is told, and most of the squares, it'll have like their favorite dog on there, or their favorite toy, or their favorite picture. I mean, it's just a little history of a person in a square. The goal of the AIDS quilt is that at some point, no one will ever be harmed, feared, silenced, or discriminated against because they have AIDS. Very worthy goal. Well, the Say Their Names project had a creator. It was Joe and Elise Proctor, who live in Portland, Oregon. And on Juneteenth last year, Juneteenth is a special Remembrance Day for African Americans. They put together a display, and it's been shown in 25 different locations nationwide. Their goal was to humanize the victims and also push for police reform and accountability. They created a space with this message, hoping that it would penetrate the greater consciousness of humanity. What a worthy goal. Incredible. Well, in going into this Say Their Names momentum at Stanford University, the librarian decided, no, we need to be part of this. We record history. We are up on events that are happening. We need to do something magnificent, and boy, they did. Their commitment is to inclusivity and welcoming everyone on campus. The project engaged with current issues in the country in direct ways. What you'll see on the door is the entrance to the library, and every panel of glass has the name of an African American person that was murdered or killed. They put all this into a database, and it can be assessed online. So if you just want to cruise through their display, it just opens your heart. The librarian said, we are to be keepers of the light, protectors of shared memories. To be etched in glass, yeah, that does it. It only took a few weeks because they were so excited about this. And it's in the building called the Green Library. And it's also, as I said, preserved online. They entitled the display, "Say Their Names, No More Names. Don't want any more names." And the victims were highlighted because of their ages, their age range, transgender, straight, young, old. It was a cross-section. And some of them struggled with mental health issues, but the point is they were all murdered. As the librarians collected this information and chronicled it, discussions took place all around the campus. Questions were raised in classrooms. Solutions were debated. And most importantly, it made those who were unknown known. In Ashland, Oregon, there was a spontaneous display created. People just brought T-shirts and started hooking them to fences around Ashland. And it was really spontaneous, but during the winter rain, it didn't last very long. So the Public Arts Commission, the Ashland Parks and Rec, Ashland City Council said, we need a permanent memorial. And so they've invited artists to submit their ideas for this. And that closed on April 2nd. So perhaps later this year, when you're up in Ashland, check out whatever they've come to memorialize this with. Sonoma County, right here in Northern California. Last year, religious leaders and some community activists created a local art project called Pray Their Names. And it was installed at the First Congregational Church. And what they did is they picked 160 African Americans killed by police, and they created a wooden heart on a stake with their name on it. 40 volunteers made this whole display, and you can walk through it as if you're walking through a cemetery. It evokes a sense of respect because we know that not only that life was lost, but a family lost a loved one, a community lost a member. The other interesting thing I thought was really clever, it's interactive. So with your smartphone, you can click on the heart and you get a picture of the person and a story about their life. Isn't that cool? Well, we had a Shasta Interfaith meeting last week, and we're trying to bring that display to Reading. Don't know when, so check the newsletter and we'll let you know when that is happening, because we'll go with your smartphones and you'll learn a lot about these people. Another interesting aspect of this whole movement is a research project done by a firm called Marathon Strategies. They asked a question, and they researched the heck out of it. And I don't know how many computers they had to do this, but it was amazing. The question was, between May and September last year, when so many of the violence happened, did the volume of nationwide online conversations related to George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Rayshard Brooks, and Breonna Taylor correlate to the amount of legislation that was proposed for police accountability? Great question. They just published their 36-page report, which I read this week. And they tracked the communication across all states and Washington, D.C. I don't know how they did that, but they did. But here's the thing. During that 5-month period, the words related to all that totaled 48,127,535 mentions in online communication. Then what they did, they broke it down by state, and they looked to see what states proposed legislation, and did they have the most online comments from everybody? How many police reform bills were proposed, enacted, or at least tried to be enacted by legislators? And what they found was very interesting, but then I think you probably would say, it's kind of human nature. There's a wide variance between the states. And in Minnesota, where George Floyd lived, and they have a divided legislature, so it wasn't Democrats, Republicans, it was divided. In Minnesota, 51 bills on police reform were proposed, along with 5 executive actions. At the same time in California, 11 bills proposed, 2 executive actions. In Florida, no bills proposed, no executive actions. And the rest of the states were all somewhere in between. Those are the extremes I wanted to share with you. So obviously, if there had been more conversations within that state, perhaps things would have evolved. So think of that. Hey, if Minnesota, 51 bills, and California with all these people, 11, speak up. It's an encouragement to speak up. Now, Reverend Sue and I just completed an 8-week book study with the Unity ministers on the book, My Grandmother's Hands. We started out with 14 people. Class 1, Class 2, lost 4 of them. They were traumatized. They had to process it before they could come back to the class. Anyway, in the end, we had, 4 ministers and 3 people, and it was funny. The book is by Resma Menachem. He's a trauma specialist. The book traces trauma as it's passed down through history. White Europeans, African Americans now. And he talks about how trauma settles in our bodies and how sometimes through generations. Like I was married into a German family who came to the U.S. after World War II, and every time the family would get together, they'd relive the trauma of World War II. And it was extremely traumatic. And so what they were doing is traumatizing the rest of us, especially me, because I didn't know about it. But I would lay awake at night wondering, could I have been that strong? So it's interesting. So it's passed down, and if you avoid talking about it, it's really hard to heal it. The last chapter in the book I liked because it was called The Reckoning. He writes that the heat's really been turned up. The heat has really been turned up, and we have an opportunity to recognize trauma embedded in ourselves and our communities. And it's time for healing. He's an African American father, and what he wants for his children is to have a good life. But what he wants most is he wants them to feel safe. To feel safe in the presence of white people, and to feel safe in the presence of police. Something to help pray for. Help this father and help these children feel safe. The book is well worth reading. We learned a lot. Well, Friday morning, my day off, I'm sitting in Lithia Toyota's waiting room. My car was being serviced. I didn't know how long it would take, so I took a book along. And all of a sudden, I'm thinking about this talk, because Friday morning, I had no idea what I was going to say. And I'm like, I didn't bring a tablet of paper. I don't have this. And finally, they had these flyers on the little tables for their spring sale. I wondered if they're blank on the back. Picked one up and went, yay, God. Yay, God. So I'm scribbling. I got lots of ideas. I go home and I said to Paul, I just got to download. See you later. I'm going to the office. And I was so excited because it all came together. It just all came together. Because, it's challenging to do a spiritual talk about this topic. Yeah, it is. But now I'm passionate about it. And I can't talk about anything I'm not passionate about. I started remembering, I don't want to cry. Go away. I started thinking about all the people in my life that have died that I love, and how important each one's name is to me. And I'm learning that when I say their name, it honors them. They're worthy of recognition because they're part of humanity. I think about my mother who passed many years ago, and I think of her quite often. In fact, even 2 weeks after she died, I was picking up the phone going, oh, yeah, okay. and I hear her at times. We're that close. Yet I recognize when a person makes their transition, if string theory is correct, there are 12 different dimensions in the universe that you could explore. So why would you want to hang out here after you're gone? I mean, really, it's so exciting to think about. So when I got home and went to my office, and I thought, oh yeah, and that favorite quote of Earnest Holmes, I gotta find it because that means so much to me. And it's in the Science of Mind text on page 270. And the first time I read it, I thought, I don't get it. I don't get it. And then later, as you study more, you finally get it. And I'm going to say this in gender neutral because the Science of Mind was written in 1926, and so it always refers to men. So I'm going to do it gender neutral. See if you get this. We do not exist for the purpose of making an impression on our environment. We do exist to express ourselves in and through this environment. There's a big difference. We do not exist to leave a lasting impression on our environment. Not at all. It's not necessary that we leave any impression. It's not necessary if you would pass tonight that anyone should even remember your name. All that means anything is that while we live, capital L-I-V-E. And for wherever we go from here, we shall keep on living. It's quite a burden lifted when we realize that we do not have to move the world. The world is going to move anyway. Oh, that relieves me from writing so many letters, but still I do. But this lesson, this realization, does not lessen our duty or our social obligation. It clarifies it. Now, the first time I read that, I said, it clarifies what? Our social obligation. To be happy, to bring more joy and love and peace into the world. And we do this by using the most powerful gift we've been given, and that's the power of our mind. In the general summary of the Science of Mind text, we were reading it this week in practitioner class, and we said everybody should read this chapter once a year. So I challenge you to do that, the general summary. Because our thoughts do outpicture. Our beliefs do manifest. So if we're thinking of lack, especially during COVID, I lack this or I lack that, it manifests as limitation. Thoughts of abundance manifest as success. Failure and success are just one end of a stick. You either go this way or you can go that way. Where are you today on that stick? No person whose time is spent in contemplating limitation can demonstrate freedom from such limitation. And then, right after that was pretty powerful, here's where I feel Science of Mind best addresses the problem of racism. Since it is done unto us as we believe, since our thoughts of goodness and love bring to us goodness and love, since we want freedom and not bondage, joy and not grief, health and not sickness, we cannot achieve this until we are first willing to give up negative judgments about ourselves or other people. I know, since I was a kid, weren't we told, judge not according to appearances? Do not be swayed by the negative opinions of others. Judge not that ye not shall be judged. And yet it's the key, isn't it? People of all colors, it's irrelevant. Love them. Love them. So, Damien and Dalton, isn't it? I'd like to end this with a little exercise. Thank you, Dalton. This you can do anywhere at any time. So right now, I invite you, if you would like to participate, to close your eyes and think of the names of the loved ones in your life that have passed. Just think about them. What are their names? It could be family, friends, anyone who's touched your heart. Any of the Black lives lost in this country and elsewhere. It could include someone from this center, like Barbara Bella, Pat Butler, Lucille Munns, Mary Farley, Bob Rock. Those are just a few of the many. Bring the names into your mind. Now place your hands over your heart and speak their names out loud. My mother, Mary Agnes MacIver. Speak the names out loud. Come on. Speak the names out loud. These are your loved ones. My father, my grandmother. Each one is on an infinite journey, immensely enjoying the next dimensions that they're in, the next steps they experience, and the many dimensions that await us. As it was said, most of our lives, our Father's mansion has many rooms. So use this simple practice. Let it brighten up your day, knowing that not only are our loved ones enjoying your thoughts of them, but they're sending love to you. In gratitude, I let it be so. And so it is. Thank you.
The love of God is here in every breath we take, fills us up with love and inspiration, fills us and surrounds us, meets our every need. It is our shining light and our salvation. Power of God is here in every thought we think, gives us strength and offers us direction. If I make the choice to listen for His voice and let His wisdom guide me through my deepest reflection, be easy it be easy. Relax, let go, and trust the way is easy. Let your heart's desire be ignited by the fire. Your life is in God's hands. He'll make the way easy. Oh, let it be easy. So as this day is done, I bow my head to pray, to know that God's the truth of all creation. The beauty of the stars as they shine on you and me. And suddenly I know no separation. I rest from all the cares, worries of the day. I know that in the darkness I'm protected. Feel His love and grace caress my smiling face. And deep within my soul I know we've always been connected. Let it be easy. Let it be easy. Relax, let go, and trust the way is easy. Let your heart's desire be ignited by the fire. Your life is in God's hand. He'll make the way easy. So let it be easy. Oh, let it be easy.
That's going to be my new song. Thank you. What an awesome choice. Mary's binder. It's glued here. Okay. I need to move it. And Charlie, could you bring her chair right up here so that you can sit in there? Can you see her, Lou? All right. Mary.
Say my name.
Mary Ellen.
No, Mary Esther.
Oh, Esther. Sorry, Mary Esther.
It's Catholic.
Okay.
Mary's the way it.
I didn't mean to make this face. So I'd like Steve from the board to come forward, and Charlie as a representative of the practitioner unit, and they're going to do a little presentation to you. You can take this off.
Can I?
Let us see your real face. Go ahead, Steve.
The board would like to thank you for your selfless service, warm heart, impeccable honesty, and we are overjoyed that we don't have to say goodbye.
Right.
That you're still going to be here, and for that we have great joy. So thank you very much.
So on behalf of the practitioner unit, we give great thanks for Reverend Dr. Mary, for the many, many years of service, and we know that it continues on in different forms, different ways, but always here in our heart. I can think through the many years we've had together on different committees, different classes, being on the board, being in practitioner meetings, practitioner panels. And Mary always brings a sense of security and a wealth of knowledge and deep understanding of the teaching. And so she has had an incredible influence on this community. And I especially wanted to point out that during this year of pandemic, the many, many months or weeks that we were here with nobody in the audience, but up here speaking live on stream, from the get-go. And Mary was always here, always championing that. And she is the one that propelled us into getting vital loans, PPP loans or whatever they're called, that kept this center afloat. And so she has an incredible way of making sure that we are safe, sound, and financially secure. And from a practitioner standpoint, that we are safe, sound, and deep within the understanding. So with all of that, I give great thanks for Reverend Dr. Mary, and on behalf of the practitioner unit, we have something for you.
Thank you so much.
And I'd like to invite her students up for practitioner training. There's these three lovely ladies will introduce themselves.
My name's Kristen.
I'm Christy. And I'm Chris.
Imagine you say, "Oh, Chris."
Yeah, we never know which one's supposed to go first. Okay. Well, I've known Reverend Dr. Mary since 2014. She's been a friend, a minister, a teacher, and also one of my students. So I've known her in a lot of capacities. I've witnessed Mary in action as a wonderful, good example of a spiritual leader. She demonstrates thirst for knowledge, as you saw. She's an avid reader, as we saw, and generously shares what she has learned with others in or out of classes. Mary throws her time and talents into whatever she pursues with integrity, compassion, and determined patience, as was testified to. She is well-grounded in science of mind principles and has the teaching skills to teach people at whatever their level of understanding. She takes students under her protective wing and gently guides and encourages their growth. She's always prepared for the class, and she conducts every class with integrity, honesty, and very good humor. I know Mary is a staunch supporter of anyone who's interested in having a more fulfilling spiritual life, no matter where they are on their spiritual journey or where they live, as evidenced by her awesome commitment to prison ministry. She generously corresponds with them, learning about their life, shares the science of mind principles with them, follows up with them, and sends them whatever is needed for their personal growth as a person. Mary takes a genuine and active interest in their successful transitions. And as she does this with all of her students in her classes. Mary has served this spiritual community as a staff minister, a senior minister, as a friend, as a teacher, to many of us over the years. She's inspired me to be a better person, and fortunately, she is not leaving us, but only moving on to her next yet to be. And I am grateful to Mary. Thank you.
Well, as the sign says, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And I've sat in some of these seats over the years, and I always thought, what does that mean? You know, I've gone through other programs and thoroughly, and then I didn't know more would be revealed. And this past little bit in class, it has really taken us down to the bare roots and getting to know. I've had the benefit of taking the class with my wife, and we've grown spiritually as a couple, learning things in class from Mary that have been just eye-opening. We've taken Mary on trips with us, even though she doesn't know, but she does the little voice on 104.3, and we're like 12-year-olds running through the land and giggling, and then all of a sudden Mary's calm voice will come on and we crank up the radio, and it's just another peaceful little snippet of our lives. And I have the pleasure to live in the same neighborhood as her, and I always knew her of the smiley face lady taking pictures, and so peaceful. But I'm forever grateful for you. You're like our spiritual mother, and you've really opened up my eyes and taught me to slow down a lot more, and more will be revealed. So thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I think they pretty much covered it. However, I am so grateful for you. You have brought me so far, and I just want to excel and become the person you know I can be, and have taught me that I have the strength to do it. Mary, you're amazing. Thank you.
So I wanted to, Sylvia, would you like to say something on behalf of administration, and come stand next to Melody on behalf and represent administrative office? Sylvia's been really helpful. Melody, come on forward and just share some from your heart for a moment, and then
Wow, so many, many memories, so many avenues, so many things we've discussed, so many things. I don't know where to begin. When I walked into the office 12 years ago, I thought I knew accounting. Well, but with Mary's, help and tutelage and a lot of patience, a lot of discussions, and sometimes we would kind of spar about a few accounting theories. And she was always right. And I was really grateful because, it really stretches you, not only to say, somebody, that to hear something different, to hear it differently, and to get it, and to help you stretch, not only your mind and your intelligence and what you think you know, and it's so safe. She provides, a safe harbor. And if you want anything, I can attest, she's there. No matter how small, no matter how big, no matter how far out of their way she has to go, she'll do it. And I am really so fortunate, as we all are, to have Mary in our life and to be able to stand up here and say, my God, thank you. Thank you for changing my life. Thank you for making me a better person. And I love you. Thank you.
Hi. I came to the center to work in September of last year, and Mary was a big force in keeping me here. She took me under her wing
I didn't even know the difference between a pledge and a plate. And I was trying to figure out all this accounting information from afar from someone who had the job before. And Mary was there with grace and patience and allowed me to continue on. And I'm still here, and I really enjoy working for the center. I'm going to miss you. I just really have a lot of gratefulness here. Thank you.
So I tried to create a spreadsheet, Mary, but I didn't have a stapler. So they wouldn't fit together right. But the first note that I want to read to you is break the monotony, do something strange and extravagant. That's a quote from Emerson. Like, actually retire? When I read that, what you plan to do as a volunteer, it sure sounds like work to me. Please, Mary, my dear friend, consider adding these words to your retirement vocabulary. Relax, rest, read, nap. I'm joking, of course. You and I and Reverend Sue all grew up in the deep consciousness of Seva as we embraced our ministries. I'm sure your community honors that in you, but they may not know how much the entire CSL organization has respected and valued your service and talent. I love you, my friend, and am knowing a joy and new adventure for your new journey, Joy. Dr. Jane Ryder. Yes. And this is from Pamela Beatty, Reverend Pamela Beatty. Reverend Dr. Mary Mitchell, it has been a delightful experience working with Reverend Mary in the Ethics Committee. Her wisdom, calmness, compassion was always helpful as we dealt with it at times some very difficult and emotional situations. Reverend Mary was and continues to be both a colleague and, I'm happy to say, a friend. All the best to Reverend Dr. Mary in the next chapter of life. Reverend Pam. Barbara Boo. Dear Reading community and our beloved Dr. Mary, I've had the privilege of working with Dr. Mary on the ethics team over the last, I think, almost 10 years. I've come to admire her so much. She has an amazing focus on principle and on doing the right thing by people. We worked diligently to turn the ethics policies, practices, and team into a place of compassion as well as being a place of truth-seeking. We learned over and over that the truth always lives in the middle of things and rarely sits on one side or another. She has been a strong voice for healing and supporting people in returning from their mistakes, as well as being a voice for those who have been harmed in any way. My prayer for you, beloved one, is that the next years bring you more joy than you can imagine, fulfillment you haven't dreamed of yet, and peace beyond all understanding. Well done, good and faithful servant. You are loved. Dr. Andrea Azevedo, my dear Mary, as I think back over the many years we have shared in centers of spiritual living, I am moved by your dedication to our organization, perhaps more importantly, our teaching. You have brought your unique gift and talent to the Reading Center, as well as the larger organization, from your skills in writing to your faithfulness to principle. We teach, you have been consistently offering yourself as an emissary of love and truth for decades. I'm particularly inspired by your work teaching prisoners how to use our teaching. I'm hopeful that, released from the daily commitments as a pastor, you will have more to give in this way. Thank you for all the support you have offered me through the years. I love you, and I wish you well on the next part of your journey. Dr. Andrea. And finally, from the Interfaith, Reverend Lynn Fritz. Dear Mary, I wish I could be there today to honor you in person, but I was scheduled to be with my 99-year-old father in Eureka, who's dealing with bronchitis. I honor you this day, Mary, for your consciousness and especially commitment to the Center for Spiritual Living in Reading and the teachings of Science Mind. You have made many contributions to the teachings, author of books, serving on committees for the international organization, teaching classes, writing of articles, advocating simply by your participation in Shasta Interfaith for diversity and acceptance of all, the truest expression of these teachings. To me, the most significant aspect of your contribution to the teaching was your invitation to me back in the early 90s to visit the center. That invitation radically changed my life, as I had been praying for a new connection with the community that would embrace and enhance my spiritual journey. Thank you for extending that invitation. I speak a blessing to you for all you have done and for all you will do. 10,000 blessings. Affectionately, Ellen Fritz, ordained minister. I'll clean those up a little bit and get them back to you. There. I wanted to open this up if there's anybody else that would like to say anything. Otherwise, I don't want to leave anyone out. Of course, Jean. Come on up. I love it. Come on up. Only Jean Wopat. So because of her connection to Earnest Holmes, I'll close with this sweet prayer and his words about the full life. There is a cake that we're offering out there in the foyer that, thank you Shirley and Bill, set up beautifully for Dr. Mary. And you can say your personal love to her at that time. And there'll be a little ritual that we're going to do in just a few moments after this. So this is the full life. Herein, from John in the Bible, verse 15, 8. Herein is my Father glorified, that ye bear such fruit. God could not withhold itself from me. That which it is given fully unto me to enjoy. The life of God is perfect. It is eternal. It is the essence of all things. That life is God's gift to me. Therefore, this fullness is within me, ready to manifest through me as I partake of it. Even though I am divinely endowed, I partake of my divinity only as I let it be embodied. Those words, I think he knew you. I think he wrote them with you in mind. So his prayer to bless this moment. I now consciously began to draw upon the life which is mine. We know this for you, Mary, that now you begin to definitely re-educate yourself in the belief that there is given unto you a fullness of life to experience, which is divine in its origin, eternal in its presence, and always, always fully available. I now accept that life for you, of the Spirit, for your life. That infinite richness of spirit is yours to enjoy. The vital good health, the wisdom, the peace, and all the good things which proceed from the Spirit, we now here claim that for you. The act of accepting this is your right, your privilege, and you can exercise it intelligently and in full faith. Life now sings through Mary in radiant ecstasy. And so it is. So this is your part, but Mary's going to stay seated. You're just going to stand. I am so grateful that so many of you showed up today, but you're going to stand, And we're going to say the same thing 3 times. The movements are up. No, you stay. Shush. I'm getting a handle on this. I told her to be quiet. I raise, I praise, I love. Okay? I raise, I praise, I love. Those are the words. But we're going to say we raise, Dr. Mary, we raise you, we praise you, we love you. Okay, ready? We raise you, Mary. We have to sing it a little bit. We raise you. Can you help me here, Noel? We raise you, Mary. We praise you, Mary. In the name of love. Can you help me with that? Try to do it a little off tune. Here we go. Raise you, Mary. Praise you, Mary. In the name of love. Praise you, Mary. Praise you, Mary. In the name of love. We praise you, Mary. We praise you, Mary. In the name of love. Yay! She wants to talk. You may be seated. Let me see if it's on my authority. Go ahead.
You know, this is the best eulogy I could ever have. Thank you. It's so nice to be present for your eulogy. I'm just like in awe. It's wonderful. You know, I've always been driven. I don't know where it came from, but even in school, and so I have so many projects I'm going to do now. My prison ministry, I have 4 prisoners who are studying science of mind, and they're amazing how much they're getting and how they're using it and how they're teaching other people in prison. One of them, I've been corresponding with 12 years. Some of you know Michael's name. We're getting ready to publish a book of letters between the 2 of us for 12 years. And Home Office's publishing company, Park Point Press, is going to do it. And I'm really excited about it because anyone who has any friend or family member who seems to be going off track should read that book. And like the publisher said, I wanted to say game warden, but prison warden should read that book. Anybody in helping people who are on parole should read that book. It's a story of being a gangster, hating everyone around him, to being a prison Buddha. It's so dramatic. Anyway, I could talk about that all night long. But the other person, Charles, whose artwork I've put in the bookstore, he may get out later this year. I'm trying to raise funds for him because when they let you out, you have nothing. And he found his calling under the Cypress Street Bridge, where he lived for many years, reading books from the library. He's now a major intelligent person. He just read a few art books, and he's a natural artist. And he can't put down Earnest Holmes. He cannot put it down. He carries it around with him all over the place. So that's exciting, and his life has been so horrific. I want to write a screenplay about it, coming from a deprived and I don't want to go into it, but really horrible situation, abandoned as a child, 5th grade education, to becoming an intellectual person and an artist. It'd be a great screenplay. So that's another thing on my checklist. So anyway, I'm going to have a lot of fun. Paul's going to have a surgery July 23rd. It's about could be 6 to 8 to 10 month recovery because it's a revision surgery. So I'm glad to be at home with him. It's turning out perfect. I can't thank you enough. I'm going to be sharing this with my brother. And I said, man, I don't even need a eulogy when I die, Mike. You know, it's just going to be, got it, been there, done that. And thank you so much. And have some cake. Enjoy.